from the prophet Daniel. But with contrite heart and humble spirit, let us be received. So let our sacrifice be in your presence today, as we follow you unreservedly. For those who trust in you cannot be put to shame. And now we follow you with our whole heart. We fear you, and we pray to you. Lord, do not withhold your compassion from us. For you, I will sing a new song. And so we pray, Lord God of strength, you gave your Son victory over death. Direct our fight against evil in the world. Clothe all of us with the weapons of light, and unite us under the one banner of love, that we may receive our eternal reward after the troubles of this earthly life. O God, I will sing to you a new song. Amen. Thank you for joining us. This is a special program. We introduce the day to you by reveling in the integrity, the prospect, the illustrious history of our Jamaican people here and abroad. And as we spend some time this morning looking at things elsewhere, far away from us, but how they affect us, we give thanks for this nation. We do so by our morning reflection, backed up by the music that Audley chooses. Yeah, and it's a good time to be mindful and celebrate our Jamaicanness. Thank God in this country we can exercise free speech. I'm one of the greatest beneficiaries of that, over the years, being able to speak my mind. Always try and do so responsibly, we all must, especially those of us who sit before a microphone that amplifies our voices. Those who choose the tunes to, have a similar responsibility, sir. Yes. Okay. To inspire, to uplift, never to denigrate. Yeah. So, other places in the world don't have that possibility, And so we are grateful for our freedom. 60 years, this year, we'll say more. And that's one of the reasons why we're so impatient when we fail to make full use of the extraordinary gifts that history and our present situation, our location, the wit and spirituality of our people lead us towards. Many adverse circumstances and stories, but we can overcome those, can't we? That's the whole purpose of the Bridge 99.13579. And you can contact us, of course, on www.thebridge99fm, wherever you are in the world. Join the conversation. You're always welcome, even if your voice is weak early in the morning. 876-676-4996. Or you can contact us via the WhatsApp at 876-551-5782. We'd love to hear from you. There we go. Well, you want to know what the weather is like in Jamaica? Planning a trip? Dreaming of a trip? Okay. Meteorological Service of Jamaica's forecast for today, Tuesday the 1st of March. This morning, we can expect isolated showers across northern parishes. Elsewhere, it will be mainly sunny. Meanwhile, this afternoon it will be partly cloudy with isolated showers across hilly areas. A trough is expected to remain across Jamaica over the next few days. Give thanks, yes? It's farmers' time. It's coming to the spring. We can plant. We can provide ourselves with more food. We can mitigate the high prices that are killing us when we go to shop or supermarket. Yeah? The money can't stretch. But if you grow 2 root of callaloo, if you plant some peas, it's not gungo time now, but, if you use whatever little space you have anywhere, everywhere, even in a paint pan or an old car tire, must can find space to grow something. It will thrill your soul to watch life unfold. And also, there's nothing sweeter than when you eat where you grow yourself, nothing sweet like that. No buy food can possibly equate the good taste of that. All right. Okay. So that's the story. Later this morning, we're going to be talking to some of our brothers and sisters, this time a sister in the diaspora. We want to link people all over the world who have the interests of Jamaicans at heart. And this morning I'm particularly touched because here are Jamaicans living abroad who are very sensitive, perhaps more sensitive than we here are, about the situation of our students who have been in Ukraine, and by grace of God and the help of so many, him working through so many people, are safe. Most of them, almost all of them, we know where they are now. And they are concerned, these diaspora people in Canada and elsewhere, how these students are going to manage to pick up themselves. Because I don't feel they can go back there, So we have to make sure that they can get the best education here. That's the least we could do for them, after ensuring that they're safely back home. They left because of money short. Now, surely government and notice, underline and, everybody else, particularly people in the diaspora, can come together and can say, okay, now, you did your best over there. Even if we can't find your transcript, come, let's place you in this faculty at our university. University is in serious financial difficulties, but never mind. Place must be found for those whose ambition has been thwarted through no fault of their own. Okay? So that's a cause that we are adopting, and we're going to give you more details about it this morning on the Early Rise. Practical things, but behind those practical things are the principles of liberty, of care for each other. No selfishness on this station, okay? You find yourself, you love yourself, not as an end, but rather as a strength so that you can give to others. That makes you happy. Nothing else will, Better believe that. Okay, so it's at 16 minutes after 5 o'clock. Later on this morning on the Early Rise, I hope to be joined by the Honourable Pearnel Charles, that redoubtable politician, trade unionist, yes, man of the people, who is spicing up our discussions with his own reflections of a good life and his prognosis for the future. So let's give thanks that our students, through the activity of government and the prodding of the conscience of people in Jamaica, seem to have crossed over into Poland and maybe on their way back to Jamaica. Even this week, what a nice thing, eh? Yeah. All right. And so we are glad for their safety. But we have to ask ourselves the question. Jamaicans will always go anywhere in the world that they can find opportunity. And that's good. That's good. Even if you go and stay, that's good, because you don't shake the Jamaican dust off your feet at all, right? But the important thing is that we do not deny people opportunity here so that they have to run and go elsewhere. All right. They heard of this sad case yesterday of a farm worker, Jamaican farm worker, who died. We're not sure of the circumstances of his death. It can happen, yeah. And so many hundreds, indeed thousands of Jamaicans have earned their fortunes, modest fortunes, but fortunes nonetheless, being able to build their house, educate their children by going on farm work. All right, but we don't want people to leave us because of the lack of opportunity here. We want people who will go abroad to recognize the opportunity here, but that there are particular and special opportunities there. So we're not insular. Yeah, but we're not supine and dependent, are we? So the students are coming home, and we're going to welcome them. Yeah, I really want to spend some time this morning, just bigging up our national spirit, because here are we, a very small country by world standards. Yes, maybe reasonably large or medium size in the Caribbean, but in world standards we're small. But we have a big footprint because of the strength of our voice, the wisdom and compassion of our hearts, a smile on our face, all the good reasons. Yeah, and so when I think of the freedom to worship, the freedom to speak, the freedom to own property, the freedom from arbitrary arrest, from our judicial system, hobbled and limited though it is. We'll talk more about that. Yeah, all these things are efforts to develop our economy. Jamaica, by comparison with many other countries, is a good place to be. When I think of those hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians who are being set upon by people who should be their friends, who are their ethnic brothers and sisters, the Russians, okay, who are being dragged in a modern day surge of colonialism by Russia, so that they are having to flee across the border to Hungary and to Poland and to the Slavic countries. Yeah, who don't know what's coming in the 40-kilometer long convoy of what weapons of war, of death, are coming towards them in Kyiv. Can you understand that, what they face this morning? Thank God, in the midst of all of our murderousness and our poverty, we don't have that kind of threat facing us today. And so we have to give thanks. Not that we have escaped, but that we must undertake a style of life and a behavior towards each other, here or abroad, that is different in our approach. Yeah. So give thanks for who we are as a Jamaican people. Give thanks for the freedom enshrined in our Constitution, in our Charter of Rights. Don't trouble it. Don't trifle with it, because it is the pearl of great price that distinguishes us, that allows us to be as strong, allows us to do the kind of work that we do, have the kind of presence that is outside and outsize of our space and time and size. So this morning, I lift up our nation and our national spirit, and I radiate that and receive that in return from Jamaicans and Jamaican lovers all over the world. We are a relatively free country, and that is a blessing. Yeah, there are countries that are much richer. There are countries that are much more scientifically advanced, but they do not have the quality of life that we aspire to here, and which we must be avid in ensuring spreads to everybody, not just for a few, but to everybody. If you have 2 shillings and you have the right contacts in Jamaica, this place is sweet, you know. And there's no reason why it couldn't be sweet for everybody. So you don't have to run away. So you don't have to have no explanation and get vexed when you're pitting the ass for some breakfast and you don't have no tea to give them. Yeah, it's not necessary. We could do different. Yeah, we could afford a decent transportation system so that everybody don't have to have what the expensive car name, all of them. Yeah. We must, if we had the right priorities, if we had the liberty and the love that Kevin Downswell and Elaine sing of this morning, yes, then we could do different from each other. We wouldn't have to make the prisoners languish. Yeah. Over 2 years now, some of the youth in the detention center don't get a visit from their parents. We expect of them. What ain't going to happen to them now? We know about COVID, but it can't work that way. If we showed compassion, if we showed more openness to the quality and the divinity of each of us, my goodness, what a difference. I can't find any of that in the Ukraine struggle this morning, you know, where the might of the Russian army is coming to suppress the Ukrainian people in the name of nationalism, in the name of false security, even using religion as a pretext. We don't want to live that way here. We're not going that direction at all. So this morning, big up Jamaica, big up all of our institutions. Let's strengthen them. Even as we criticize them, we want to make them better. Yeah, that's the spirit of the early rise on the Bridge 99. Let's take the break and come back. There's much more. Welcome, Honorable Pearnel Charles. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ronnie. How are you doing?
I'm well. And this morning, I want to share your views, because this morning, having regard to all of the ferment and the distress and the horrible things happening in Ukraine particularly, but in other parts of the world this morning, Despite all of our problems, I'm giving thanks for being a Jamaican.
Yes, and we're very fortunate. I think that there are many of us who don't appreciate, because there are rough times everywhere.
Amen.
But sometimes we concentrate solely on the hardship, and we forget that there are some good things around us. And while I heard you, I said, but you know, Ronnie, you could have had an education in Jamaica, but you, a top educated Jamaican boy, got your education in the United Kingdom and in the United States.
Yes.
Although you got your start here, myself.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate that let us say, we have returned before others. Because it's two types of returning. Some you stay there and deliver here. Yeah. Some you come here and deliver here. And I don't know if any is more important.
No, I think it's a place for both.
When you look at the Canadian boys and Canadian girls and Britain and those who, even in Scotland, their contribution.
Yes, man.
And probably, it is not a bad thing that people can migrate or move to different areas of the world and contribute to other parts. But the topic that I was mostly interested in, and I am mostly interested in, is education. Because I was looking at education as learning to read and write, learning to grow up, being able to speak properly, get a profession and go out there. It's much more than that.
Yes.
Much more than that.
Yes.
And that is the importance of the teacher.
Yes.
Because teaching, as I was reading this morning, must be continuous. It's not just the ABC and the algebra and the geometry. It is training a child for the future. So a teacher who is just a mathematics teacher is not a good teacher. If you are not capable and able to train a child to meet the future. Yeah. And there are many things in the future.
Yeah.
Many things.
So building character is a major element of education, Mr. Charles?
And you know who know that?
Yes.
Some of the parents who can't read.
Yes.
Some of the parents who may be lazy.
I'll never forget your story about the lady who can't read, but she make her children read to her.
And she know when they make a mistake.
Yes. And more than that, the very discipline of sitting with them and being with them and showing them what she thinks is best for them. It goes way beyond just simply the capacity to read. You know, it takes the words that are on the book, on the page, to a much higher level.
And remember now...
How much money did that cost, Mr. Charles?
Remember that she didn't have a home lamp, you know?
No.
She had a bottle lamp.
Yes, sir. Okay.
There's some kerosene oil in a bottle.
Yes, sir.
Cork it, wet it, light it, and give light.
Okay. And I'm asking you a question, sir. How much money that costs?
I think it's priceless.
It's priceless because, and it doesn't cost. You don't have to have money to do that.
You don't have money as we know it is not what values.
No, money can
evaluate.
Money can enhance. It can enhance. It would be nice if she had a home sweet home lamp. It would be even better if she had an electric light, not a throw-up light, a proper light. But at the same time, our history is full of people who, despite all of the lacks that them have managed to do just that, to build strong spirits, worthy characters, and bright picnic too.
Well, add to that, they have also influenced many of us.
Yes, sir.
If that lady had electricity in her home and sit in her home, lock her door,
she might have turned on the TV.
I wouldn't see her. Yeah. And probably she wouldn't have time for the children. She'll be watching some cowboy
My
show.
God. And therefore the question we're going to ask after we take this call is to what extent do we purposely or absent-mindedly deflect ourselves from the really important things of Jamaican life and Jamaican culture?
And I'm going to ask you to add,
if
we could ever put a value on the professions.
Okay, say it. Which one would come first?
Well, I always say if there were no teachers, there would be no teachers.
Right, sir.
There would be no engineers.
I want to tell
there
you.
There would be no Ronnie Thwaites.
No Pearnel, Charles. Good morning, caller. This is the Early Rise on the Bridge, and welcome.
Yes, good morning. Morning, gentlemen.
Hi,
Morning,
sir.
sir.
How are you?
I'm well enough, and I'm encouraged by what I've heard you say early on. I'd like to endorse much of it, if not in totality. But talking about the education, you guys might have traveled a bit. I know you have, but I don't know how much Pearnel has.
More than me.
Only about some of them in sort of out there in the mother country.
Yes.
But I don't know how well he's linked now. Right? Or when I'm standing up to him.
What do you mean? He's a chief.
Yeah, when I'm standing up to it.
To his chiefdom.
So him is the right man now to set up the link, the bridge across the Atlantic there, the Gulf of Guinea.
Okay.
Right, for this program now.
Yes.
Or for the station.
Yes. I believe so too. Pearnel, you get a big work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, even if him can't do it personally, he must chat it up. Because I'm a good chatter, you know. Aren't you, sir?
Yes.
Oh, yes? You're helping to define me.
I've been listening to you. You were waxing yesterday.
Yeah.
About you getting up out of your bed in the early hours and trying to be proactive about dealing with your portfolio.
Yes.
Yes.
True.
Talking on this program is not good enough. What you guys need to set up, the things that we're talking about, and the aspiration that they see for the rest of the country, they need to put on some seminars or whatever it is, because the opportunity is there now. COVID has locked way into a new path or opportunity. To make the young people who are come political representative get a firm understanding. Because I don't know how far you reach on this program. I'm talking to people about it and tell them to listen. But they're not getting up at this hour of the morning to listen at all.
Some are.
You guys need to have some replay. I don't know if you podcast it. You must tell us.
Well, that is a plan. I really want to tell you, and thank you for the comments, but also to tell you that it is the intention of the station to do that, and I'm trusting that they will, because we would like to have more feedback, and we're grateful for yours.
And jump on it, and we need to do something about addressing the Eurocentric language. We're still talking about in the West Indies. We need to adjust that. It's the Caribbean. There's no such geographical areas as the West Indies. The colonial designation.
Okay.
Yeah. We're in the Caribbean, sir.
Yes, sir. That is true.
We're in the Caribbean basin. You get it right. But when you guys talking about education, after you don't go through the normal thing where you get to a tertiary and what have you, you know the best part of the education after that is to travel. And live amongst people of a different culture.
Yeah.
Travel.
Okay.
You know, sir, if you let me disturb you right there.
No, you can't disturb me. You must tell me to talk right.
Let me intervene.
And big it up.
Technology has taken over what you have just said, part of it. You don't have to move from your house to know what is happening in Ukraine.
I know that. But we know
10 minutes ago.
We're not well into that now.
Right.
We're not well into that now. That's the same thing we need to is a reach out. You go click, and you see what they go on.
Yes.
And you know what they go on.
But it is still important to go, to touch, to feel in a way that is more intimate even than the technology can ever take you.
Things are different and how they appreciate what you do, especially with Jamaica, with Bigfoot Jamaica.
Right.
You're talking about
big footprint.
Footprints. I don't know what size shoes you're talking about. Boots.
Big boots. But listen now. But do you think that there is a national spirit towards that kind of approach? No. That's where you guys come in. To make a start with it. Yes.
Because if we really get proactive and get the support, we need a bit of a Jamaican element of truth and reconciliation. Reconciliation. Because if you don't clear that ear, you have come out of the constrictor bow. I don't know where. Right? So you're like a free now.
Yeah.
More taking it off guard. Just where you communicate. So like when you were in there. And she Pearnel that I follow you. Why no come on at 5 o'clock in the morning?
Well, I tell you what, the very often when I think of this interchange, and I'm including you, caller, where else do we have people with political sensitivities discussing everything and anything, with a freedom that allows us to both respect but be critical of the existing order? And it seems to me that it is very important to do that, and that in fact there are so many things that we can do to better ourselves, which we don't have to depend upon the budget to do, or the budget ought to be consistent.
No. The budget is restrictive and too much constraint and too much, bureaucracy to deal with it. We need to free ourselves up.
Well, let me say something to you. The Standing Finance Committee of the House of Representatives is meeting today and tomorrow to discuss the estimates of expenditure for the upcoming year. And I used to be part of that. Pearnel used to sit as the chairman. And
hold you back.
No, it's not way back. It's yesterday.
But you just said something. You said it's restrictive, and it carries a tremendous amount of inherited weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, and the waste, W-A-S-T-E, in it. And I used to feel that it was a waste of time to do this. It was necessary to go through the form, but I wanted to tear up the big yellow book and start afresh.
Yeah, because what you call it. You have a term for how you should develop the financing.
Yeah.
Remind me what it is.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what.
Something like zero budgeting.
Yeah, zero budgeting. I had a resolution on Mr. Charles's order paper that we should do with zero budgeting.
$0.
But it never reached.
Yeah, but
from my little experience with interaction with one or two ministries.
Yeah.
All the man them trying to do is top up with them the last year.
Yes, indeed.
And
oh my God, listen to him.
And what them had to do, and what they do, the money only spent in the last third of the budget period.
Oh.
And they sit down upon it, and them say, "Boy, we use it up quick," and go boom, 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 because they use it up.
Go back.
Lose it.
Target as much.
Sir.
That's where half the waste come in.
You're a well-experienced person. I want to show you something.
How you know that?
Maybe, well, I'm intelligent enough to evaluate your presentation and put you at a level of 100. So let us go on with the point.
I want 10% more. I want 10% more.
Come, listen to the man.
The point that I want to make to you is, if you take the budget, Ronnie, what percentage of the budget is recurrent? What percentage in terms of what has been set already, what has been put there for payment for salaries, what has been set there for projects that has been started, what percentage of the budget is there for new projects?
Yeah, well, it's about 60% is recurrent, isn't it? Another 30% is debt repayment, and 10% is a new project.
I'm not even sure it's 10%.
Yeah.
So
but that's exactly what Mr. Jigsaw is saying.
The point that he is making, that when you look and see that the year is finishing, and the little that is left is going to be called back to the Ministry of Finance if you as a minister or ministry did not use it.
Yeah.
And they just, I'm not sure to use the word waste.
Yeah.
It's just push anywhere.
So why don't we...
Yeah, they don't waste that because you don't get value for money when you do it.
Exactly. No, why don't we change the system? Why don't we change the system? That was what that was what my whole intention. Naive that it might be about zero budgeting. That what you needed to do was...
But I am not sure that I understand what you would do when you take out the recurrent part of budget.
No, you couldn't take out the...
How would you get zero budgeting? You mean based on what is left after recurrent?
No. include the recurrent. Take the ministries, take 2 ministries a year, maybe 3 if you could. And from earlier on, you start to say, look here now, here is what we're spending X billions on. Let's go through each item of expenditure and decide whether this is actually efficient, this is the best way to spend it, or we have to think of a different way to do it. A wrenching experience, but an absolutely necessary one, especially when the money is short and when the results of it, when the results of all of this expenditure, all of this economic activity is providing you with merasmic growth. You have to do that. Otherwise, you end up.
Work.
Yeah, it takes work.
Different concept and takes work.
And there's another thing it takes. Hello, Mr. Jigsaw. There's another thing it takes. It cannot be done by one side only. It has to be. It has to be done. Go ahead.
Mind that constrictor book come out of you.
No, can't catch me.
Somebody asked me if it's by design that they put yourself, you and I, here to set the stage for what is to come. I say, if we were able to do that, we would probably move to the national hero.
No, well, that's that.
No, we don't want no more. We have enough already.
But
what we want is icons all over the place.
Yeah. Icons.
Building economy and developing people.
Okay, and what we want is just honest discourse and consequential action to just do to make that. Hey, can you imagine? It's almost $1 trillion we taking out of people's pocket this year. If we go spend on them, on ourselves, or we go spend.
By the way, you're going into the gallery today?
No, but you know why? Because if I went into the gallery today, I would grind my teeth. I would be so frustrated. Yes?
All right, I'll give you a piece of true stick.
Yeah, true stick.
Yeah, you don't grind your teeth.
Pearnel, no more true stick.
Ronnie, you smoke now?
What do you mean, true stick, man, you man? We know to cut it and set it, and when it's ready. You know?
Then you use it.
Yeah, of course.
Explain that to me.
Who could buy Who could buy
toothpaste, Colgate,
who could buy toothbrush?
Yes.
And sometimes you chew it till you froth your mouth. But the matter said, don't worry, it preserves your gum.
Yeah, man. Liquid all the bacteria them in there and things.
Yes. Well, listen now. So how do we make this? How do we bring this spirit to broaden it? I believe that many of the people in the diaspora who we are particularly broadcasting to, many of them really see this much clearer from abroad than we see it here, you know.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
If you listen when you hear them speak, they have a different exposure. They are leaders where they are situated, and achievers.
Yeah. And
like Pearnel said, they will have to come back out to give us the help.
Sir.
Anyway, them can lend them expertise, intellectual expertise, financial, whatever.
Yes.
In short, it's in the head.
It's in the head?
It's in the head.
Okay.
In short, because when you go away, it's in the head. Yeah. The experience, the education.
Okay.
It's in the head.
But I want to bowl another ball to both of you, because not everybody can go away. And come back.
Everybody will go away.
So what do we do in terms of our own socialization? What do we do in terms of our own education? Let me be blunt this morning. I believe that we have to rethink the education system and place much more emphasis on character building or as much emphasis on character building as we do on English and maths and IT and all those things that are so necessary. That's one.
Yeah,
and two, before you comment on that one, the second thing we have to do, what we are doing with mass media in this country. I'm not disrespecting any of the companies and the stations, television, radio, whatever platforms. But what we are doing with mass media is selling us short, because what we are confusing entertainment with we're substituting entertainment for education. Yes, we could do much more.
And that
If
is
you, if,
that
if,
that is
if
a
you
prof-
leak out,
that
if
is
you
a
leak
prof-
out,
that's a
if you
prof-
leak out about 1 or 2 hours a day, 3 or 4 times a week, and switch it over from the entertainment that keep you idle and give you
anesthetic.
a narrow gaze.
Yeah.
A narrow
Toxic
gaze about
anesthetic.
what you should be about or what is possible.
Addiction.
We
Ronnie,
can do better because we don't produce nothing when we do all that.
Yes. Here, Pearnel, now, what you saying?
when I listen to the representative of the Ministry of Education
Yes.
in their presentation
On Wednesdays.
over the past few
In
weeks,
public eye.
something struck me that we have to either redirect or change or whatever it is. The emphasis has got to be first on training of teachers.
Yes, the whole industry needs retraining.
Understand one
revamping,
thing.
right?
You send teachers to school, they just upgrade maths, English, geography, this and that. Totally wrong. Once you can read and write and know, education is a new level for men and women looking forward. Right education, Ronnie, and you've been talking that we shouldn't have no gangs on this and that. It is back to the classroom of what a teacher is able to teach and inspire a child.
What you say, Mr. Jigsaw?
We need to set the foundation by deploying more resources and the new thinking at the early childhood stage.
Okay, but you
Right?
realize
we don't have people that come up through a waste the teacher time or waste the resources they have and come out and then done.
Right. So let's concentrate on that.
Can't get them,
Let's concentrate on that. Right now, the majority of early childhood institutions in Jamaica, there are almost 3,000 of them. We're very fortunate. We have a place in kindergarten, so to speak, for every child. That is bigger than the United States, gentlemen.
Yes.
Okay? They are just, Biden is trying to get universal pre-K. Yes? We have it. So government has an excellent program. JLP government, Mr. Charles, has an excellent program called Brain Builders. Yes, which has been stunted when it should be enhanced. Okay, we're paying our early childhood teachers, yes, barely minimum wage. 40% of them and more are not trained at all. Yes, many more of them have just limited change. Your mentor, Mr. Siaga, one of the last things he told me was that he wished that government would take over the early childhood sector, and he meant that it could pay the teachers better. We tried to do some of that when I was in office and so on. But early childhood education, and particularly the opportunity to link with families, with parents, yes, from that stage, is the absolute priority. Orlando Patterson is saying so.
Ronnie,
but we're not doing it.
He'll not tell us anything new from the comments I hear.
Yes.
Him rehash what I've been doing already and sitting on that I get a dust from shelf.
Well, there you are.
I'm old enough to know that some of those elderly women
yes, sir,
who were taking children in their home to teach them ABC, count, this and that. They themselves couldn't read, many of them. They were never trained.
No, but they were good people. And what they did was to show love, to show purpose, to give discipline and order.
And I put it, Ronnie, they show them to have local manners. Because when I say local manners, say how they do to Miss Birdie.
No. Yeah. Somebody can't come in here, you don't greet them. You can't pass them on the street.
You don't have no manners.
Yes.
And you see the man when in grip and he look old.
Yeah.
And you're laughing after him.
Yeah.
And the point is this, that it was a local, I call it local education.
Yes.
Those people were retrained, many of them. Those who could not retrain. New teachers are brought.
The training and the character is one thing. One of the saddest things happened last weekend, Jigsaw Pearnel. I read in the paper that some 12-year-old boys, yes, juveniles, yes, take set and kill a man, a unsound man, somewhere in the countryside.
Yes.
Oh my God. Awful. Look at that. Where them learn them things from? No, we all know that we tease people and so on, but to go to that point means that they never had an old lady like you're talking about.
And Ronnie, the reason why he did it is lack of that form of education.
Yes.
Let me give you one that could be a joke.
Before we leave.
We decided to kill a frog once.
Uh-huh.
And all of us decided to lick it because it sounds good when you're licking, go bow, bow, bow.
You're afraid of Coco Bay.
And Mother Carlos,
Uh-huh.
you know what you're doing?
Uh-huh.
What is joke to you?
Yes.
Is that to him?
Yes.
What
Lick
is
a frog,
joke? When you're making a joke with lick a frog because you want to hear it sound.
Bo.
Is dead him a dead?
Dead him, dead.
Kill
you
him.
You want to hear the sound
And it goes further, Ronnie.
Uh-huh.
Intellectually, a lot of us,
Yeah.
right, were getting in the wrong direction because those who were given the direction to go themselves did not know, were not trained to know
So
where the precipice was
Yes.
or where the highway was.
Okay, good analogy. So
But we don't have no excuse now.
No, we don't.
Information is out there.
Out there.
The
Looking
proper
and check it
words,
out.
Yes.
information and technology has been able to transfer
So let us use
from our level.
Let us use it for good. Let us use it for good rather than for selfishness and for hedonism, which is just bigging up yourself and titillation rather than deep engagement.
That serve a purpose for those who want to keep us one step.
Of course it is.
Almost in
Yes. Of course it is. Bread and circus, and we probably that's what the Romans did to keep the slaves happy. What we do is give them the circus, yes, and deny them the bread. What the hell is the use of that? Mr. Jigsaw, thanks for the call. Thanks for waking up early.
Right,
Join us on the bridge anytime.
Remember, we need to find a way to ramp up these things, and you
All
guys
right.
can help.
We'll try.
Right.
Thanks so much. Well, what a wide-ranging discussion, Mr. Charles.
Yes.
Yes, we take a break on the early rise on the bridge for the government observances. When we come back, remember, we're going to Canada this morning, the diaspora efforts to help our students in Ukraine, and much, much more. See you. Soon come. So we were talking about teachers.
Yes.
We have a dilemma that we're going to have to work through. I've been reading last week, the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Education released a World Bank study which looks at the efficiency of our expenditure on education.
Yes.
And what it points out is, or what it suggests, is that we are spending a lot of money on tertiary education, that is after high school, college and university. But we are not spending enough on the things we have spoken of, early childhood and primary education. Now, so let us accept that. But
Well, Danny, go ahead.
no, there's a problem, isn't there? Because the University of the West Indies, which is such a treasured institution, is in serious financial problems.
Yes.
If we take away any of the money that the government of Jamaica gives to the University of the West Indies, say,
It crashed.
it crash.
Yeah, but let's go back to what you said earlier.
Uh-huh.
And the theme that I got out of your presentation you saw this morning is education. And I'm not going to say right or wrong, because we are concluding that education is more than the children.
Yes.
Education is, in other words, the house cannot be built without a proper mason, a proper carpenter.
Yes, foundation.
Right? And education cannot be built
Yes.
without proper trained teachers,
Yes, sir.
not only in maths and English and geography, but in molding the future of our children.
Yeah.
And so many of the teachers were not taught that.
No.
They were specialists in maths, specialists in English, specialists in geography, not specialists in the overall
Human
building character to meet what we are facing today.
Yeah.
And so I was fortunate, right, that when I went to school, somebody hold my finger and show me how not to make the letter touch the top line, right?
Yeah, double line book.
But beyond that,
Yeah.
you had to behave
Yeah.
because there was something that you have to try and come to.
Yeah.
You understand?
But you told me about your teacher
Yes.
who came from Trelawney, was it?
Yeah,
To
yes.
St. Anne.
Yes.
And dedicated his life to naughty head boy and girl like you.
Well, as you said that, I, on Wednesday, went to a place called Keith in St. Anne.
Yes.
To look at my former teacher.
Yeah.
Mr. Hall, 100 years old.
Mercy.
And they said, he said, find Mr. Charles.
Yeah.
He was my boy at school.
Look at that.
And I want to see him before I die.
Yeah.
And when I arrived, there were some people there, everybody clapped. I said, what is this for? She said that Mr. Hall never opened his eye from morning.
Yeah.
And from him here, say you're there.
Him open the eye.
Mr. Hall, open and ready.
No, but that is a treasured, that's a treasured experience, Pearnel.
Let me tell you something. I am looking at it now.
Yes, yes.
Right?
What, I'm so happy you went.
Let me tell you something. I was in a trouble because I had a lady in Clarendon who died at 108 and was burying the same time.
Same day.
So I went and spent an hour at the funeral. And then reach Brownstone, which is right across the island.
Yes.
In time to catch a lot of the people who wait to hear that I was coming.
Yes.
And they waited.
Yes. No,
And
look
they
at
said,
that.
Mr. Charles, Mr. Hall, wake up in the mirror, say you come outside.
Of course. What a wonderful experience. But now what does that tell you? That tells you that personal attention, that tells you that we don't treat our children in any mass way. We think of them as individuals. Each of them as God's creation.
Yes.
Each of them as a beautiful individual. Right. Now we are small enough, but we are large enough also. That is a gift we can give to each other, you know.
Ronnie, I said the inspiration I got from Bridge.
Yes.
And you have helped in that stimulation.
Yes. But you have helped me too, because when you tell me the story of Mr. Hall, who remembers you and who identifies his success in your achievements, and by gift of the Spirit, you can still go and say, make him open him eye. That's wonderful, Pearnel.
Hear what the people have tell me.
Yeah.
Mr. Hall say, you're him boy.
Yeah.
You know, my boy that. And you understand, a man is 100 years old, you know.
Yeah. So what we do, but look at that now, Mr. When you're not so young yourself, and therefore Mr. Hall was a young man when he came to teach you.
28.
Yes. Now look at that.
Right.
So now that means that we should be choosing and encouraging the best of our students, the people with good achievements, to go into the teaching profession.
One of the things that I'm going to ride on, and I would like that the president of these various organizations, president of Teachers Association, president of the Principals Association, is not just to fight for benefit for them.
Yes.
The benefit through those money. You have to look as to whether the teachers are trained to create future leaders, future teachers, children to meet what is coming.
Yes.
It's not easy, you know, it's a different generation.
No, and it's harder than it used to be. Because
because you're exposed more.
Right. The negative influences that the child comes to you with, yes, wasn't the case when you and I were in school.
I am saying we need to look as to whether the teachers are being properly trained.
So are we dealing with this? Frankly, we've spent a lot of time in the last several years looking at a new curriculum, which is good. We need to have more efficient ways of teaching.
I didn't even know that. So that means that need to be exposed.
Yeah, but that's not enough, you know.
No, but what I hear the teachers fighting for is more money, which do I know that they need better life.
Yeah.
More this, more that. Yeah. I don't hear any of the leaders calling for more money to retrain or further train or further develop. For the teachers have a job to create future leaders at all levels, so even parental level.
Sure. So, Mr. Charles, here, come. Let us touch ground now, because the truth is, Jamaica Teachers Association has become much more of a trade union than it is a professional
Fighting
organization.
for wages and terms of condition of employment.
Which is okay, but we need them to be even more than that.
Yes.
Yes. The professional development organization, which is their voice, not Pearnel Childs and Ronald Thwaites, are supposed to be the strongest to say, look at this. We are spending the biggest proportion of the budget, $112 billion this year. When you add up the capital, it's add to the routine, to the recurrent, it's more than that. Yes, we're spending the biggest money on education, and we're faced with the indignity of people like Professor Patterson and the World Bank telling us that the money not spent right. So they know.
But you need to stop right there. Because that is what we are now saying on the bridge.
Yeah.
That if the money is available, we must make sure
it's spent good.
We spend it. How we spend it is not only wages and terms of condition of employment.
Yeah.
Is wages for what you require to do.
Precisely. So but wait, no, Pearnel, because then what you are saying now, yes, is that there has to be a correlation, yes, between remuneration and productivity.
Ronnie, and the productivity has got to be looking at the future and know that it is what you have in your hand going to determine the future.
Of course.
You are going to lessen the gangs, lessen the illiteracy, lessen everything because of what you do. The 1 or 2 hours you have with that child in school, you can put a block. Like you're building a house, you can put a block,
absolutely
properly cemented, with a steel in it to meet the future.
So therefore, hold on, sir. We have some hard decisions, because if we agree, as we do, that those building blocks have to form a foundation of the growth of each child.
Right.
Then we should take the money that we are spending, we propose to spend nearly $2.5–3 billion on this sixth form, put it in the early childhood that need it, because you cannot build a superstructure on shifting sands, on a weak foundation.
Go back to the construction.
Yes, sir.
You cannot put a superstructure without you have the proper foundation.
Thank you very much, sir.
It is not going to stand up. And if a storm comes, it's going to blow down.
Well, what I found when I went to the Ministry of Education was that some of the money that we were spending on the career advancement program, for example, good concept, but it wasn't having the right effect, because many of the students who were going into that program did not have the proper foundation of reading and writing and proper character.
Stay with the building, Ronnie.
Yes.
You start to put on a top floor.
Yeah.
And a building that don't have no foundation.
Well, but then you see, this is key. But then, so this would mean that there would have to be a big change in what the government is putting forward for education budget today and tomorrow before the Standing Finance Committee. And then let us not allow this time of discussion between us to end without facing the dilemma of how are we going to do the further training that teachers need, revamp the teacher training colleges, attract the best minds into and the best characters into teaching. Yes, when what all of these experts are saying is we must take some of the money from that level of education, yes, and give it to the early stages. We face a dilemma. We need more resources. Where will it come from?
You know, something you've been saying that I've been publicly objecting to is that we must train the gangsters now.
Yeah.
Them gone. Because while we're concentrating on them, we're building on top where the foundation is not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where I want to come with you is that in order to prevent gangsters coming, you have to train down here.
Yes, sir, and I'm agreeing with you.
You can't. Remember, I told you that I bring in some of the gangsters and try to sell this man.
But you know what they do? You know what's happening to them when you leave them alone? They have babies.
Not only, okay, so they have babies. But if you had a program for those babies, they wouldn't become gangsters.
But it makes it for that program. You're
Proper
right.
teachers.
You're right. But it's harder if their parents are not cooperating and a person who has a gangster
But
as a
that's
father.
that's what you have to train,
Yeah.
right? And none of us like the hard way.
Yeah.
If there's an easier way to scam,
A woman
who the hell is going to work?
A woman comes to me and says, I beg you, a lunch money for the picnic. See the little girl there?
Yes.
She goes to school, and she need so-and-so book. She need lunch money, yes? So my first statement is, where the picnic father? In their jail, okay? Now, I look on that child. He may well deserve, that father, may well deserve to be in jail. But I look at that child, and I know that child is prejudiced in a way that is going to hurt her, beautiful child of God, but also is going to prejudice this society unless we are very careful.
And if she was big enough when she go outside, she should have said, Mama, you shouldn't go tell the man, say, Papa, that jail, Kind of shame.
Yeah.
But you understand?
But
she grow up with that. Every time she see you,
but of
she
course,
remembers that her mother tells her father is
in jail.
No, but
so
no, it is, Ronnie.
You can't write off that class of person.
Nor
can you just lock them up and think that you've done something righteous, which is what national security policy is heading towards right now. When you hear all of these people write up and talk up and have ministry that we must strengthen and detain people without trial, what you're forgetting is what's happening to their families.
Ronnie, look here. I'm going to give you one. Somebody go and call in and say they didn't even know that. Roll your fist.
Yeah.
Roll it now.
Roll it.
Stretch out one finger.
Uh-huh.
Take out one. You think you can thump anybody with the other four?
No, sir.
What happened?
Broke a finger.
They broke the finger.
Yes, sir.
Take out two. Right?
Worse broke.
All right, close it back. Take out the little finger. You think you can thump anybody with that?
No, sir.
So close all of them. What you have now? A solid
fist. Yeah.
What we don't have is that.
Yeah.
To do the job that we need to do.
Right. And
if we have that solid
fist
approach to use, in other words, there are many of us who would not be worried if you're taxing us to tell us, say, listen, I am preventing gangsters and murderers and this and coming on you because I'm training these children.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a problem.
No.
If I have to give up 1 or 2 night dinner.
Me too.
In order to save the future.
And therefore, the kind of clarity of thinking that you have just expressed, I am hoping and trusting and saying to our friends in the diaspora this morning, today, I'm hoping that was a kind of discourse that was going on at Vale Royal. It wasn't at Vale Royal, they had it at the university between the JLP and the PNP on Sunday morning. I'm really hoping, and I'm insisting that every Sunday morning I would excuse them from church to have that discussion.
You see, I have been through that, and maybe a little more than you.
Yes.
I have been appointed to the cabinet on 5 different occasions. Okay?
What a blessing.
Five times is that.
Yeah, man.
And I am not inspired that I did, that the cabinet did anything for me or I did much for it.
Lord have mercy. Look at that.
No, but Ronnie, look what we have behind us.
But who is going to
look
lead?
What we have. You were there.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
Every minister come with a package that was formulated by the civil servants and the various committees and the various whatever you want to call it, for us to seek more money to develop more. We missed the boat.
Yes, but sir, we missed the boat because those of us in leadership were not as strong and united as we need to be about looking at the system and being willing to change the system.
Why don't you say it the other way, Ronnie?
Tell me the other way.
If what I'm saying, no. Did I say it those days?
No. But
was I fearful to say it?
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
No.
Was I educated sufficiently to see the future and to know that whatever else you were doing was coming to naught?
So when I know better, I do better.
You should do better.
Yeah. Okay,
and so we know better now, and we are putting it to those who are there.
Yeah.
Don't make the mistake that we made.
Yeah.
I'm putting it to the various teachers, colleges.
Yeah.
Don't just take a guy to come and he did well in maths and he did well in English. And
look at the man's character.
Because the truth is, that is not going to formulate the future without the other things.
Well, you need both. But let me give you an example. Last week it was reported in the press that the Human Resources and Social Development Committee of Parliament sat looking at education.
Yes.
I used to be chairman of that committee. Okay? And two things struck me. From the picture on the television, very few members attended.
Yes.
Okay, which is a shame.
They're not inspired sufficient
if they are not inspired about social development, about things like education, then I think we have a real problem. And we should pinch hard those members who stay away. One. Two, the suggestion was that because of the education loss because of COVID, the suggestion came from Mr. Clark, I think, from St. James, that we should consider having summer school this year.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody must come back to summer school.
Well.
And he was supported by Mrs. Holness, another member of Parliament.
Yes.
Yes. And the officers from the Ministry of Education, people who I admire, people who I encouraged, okay, they were equivocal. They were not sure. They said the last time it happened, it didn't work so well. Maybe they're thinking of it. Mrs. Holness asserted that they were sidestepping the question. But I know why they were sidestepping the question, Mr. Charles, because we are unwilling to deal with the system. Because the teachers are not willing to teach summer school, although they get paid for the months of July and August.
I don't know how many teachers have planned have their passport ready to go and make money off of those 2 years.
Of course, sir.
If
they
will tell you the truth, that's the only way they can survive.
Yeah, I can't.
Ronnie, this thing is not easy, you know.
No, sir, but
we are talking it like it's easy. It's not easy.
No, I'm not saying it's easy. What I'm saying is that it needs combined resolve, and it needs us to understand what is the foundation of the problem.
Hold on, let's put one more thing, Ronnie. We all have to agree that things are not going the right way, and we all have to make a sacrifice.
Look at that.
If we don't make that sacrifice, how are you going to ask a teacher to go and teach in the holiday that she has
but I would
without somebody making a sacrifice?
Okay, fine.
All of us.
I'm prepared. So I wanted the discussion to go, okay, fine. I would say, how can we sacrifice and find a little bit more money so that we could, in fact, encourage teachers to have not just extra lessons during the summer, but rather a thoroughgoing effort to catch up many students, which would involve keeping school. Now, it won't be easy. It's breaking the normal mold and run of the system, but it is absolutely necessary. Bet my bottom dollar, Mr. Charles, that what is going to happen is, now is March, we're going to dribble along the way we are. Yes, we're going to have less focus and intention. Even if we have some kind of summer school, it won't be really what it should be.
And the children are not inspired to come. And then, parents are not inspired to send them.
Yeah, but we spend the money. We spend the money going on, keeping the system going without the results. And then when Mr. Orlando Patterson and the World Bank say, but hey, look what's in front of you. The money is spent, but the outcome is weak. We say, boy, and we find every excuse. My contract, this history, my predilection, my airline ticket. And we carry on that way, selling short the opportunity that we have to really make a difference for our people, so that we don't go like Ukraine, so that we are not the pawns of United States or Britain or anything else, that we are a proud, God-blessed, independent people who love each other, who find our happiness by loving each other so much that we are prepared to make sacrifices for them.
And there's one big thing. Yeah. One finger out of the fist, the fist can't thump.
That is the biggest example.
So all of us, politicians, person, the people, all of us have to accept and say, listen, man, for you to thump a man with a fist, all a finger for close. If you don't do that, don't expect the teachers alone to come in.
Of course not. And
don't expect the children, parents alone to come in. Don't expect the children alone to take sacrifice. All of us have to roll it And decide we are going to hit
and I could give you the example. My mind is slipping back. We have to break now. But for what Jamal was, national literacy in the early 70s, where the fist was all together.
Yeah.
Yes? And we allow somebody to chichi to come inside.
Yes.
And eat it out.
Yeah.
Yes? And broke it out to our peril that we're facing 50 years later.
I told that my father would say, somebody come in and say, but that finger is small.
Yeah.
Well, move it out now and use the other big one then.
And see one. This is Early Rise on the Bridge. Fascinating discussion, trenchant thoughts. We soon come back. This is Early Rise on the Bridge 99 FM. This is a program where we reach out to the diaspora. We talk to the people who are remembering Jamaica, who are keeping Jamaica's interest in the forefront all over the world. And so this morning, welcome home, Rhona Dunwell.
Good morning.
Hi, look at you. We're so happy to have you. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
The Honorable Pearnel Charles is a co-host on this program. He greets you too.
Yes. Good morning, Honorable Charles.
How are you, ma'am? How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
President of the Alliance of Jamaican Alumni Associations based in Toronto and current president of the Knox College Past Students Association. You Knox College people boast it like anything, you know, Rhona Dunwell.
Yes, man. Both of it true.
You have every reason to be. To be a fine educational institution, you know. Yes?
And is a technical part of those schools.
Yes.
That is more...
The community college, such a wonderful extension of it.
It's more than the big schools that don't go with that.
Sure. Rhona Dunwell, tell us what is the spirit that urges you, we're way in Toronto, but to nonetheless keep the interests of Jamaica and Jamaican young people particularly at heart. Why are you engaged the way you are? Tell us that story.
Well, Reverend Thwaites, I grew up in Jamaica, as you know.
Pearnel is dying to ask you what parish you come from.
I hail from Manchester. From a little place called Coleyville.
Wow.
Manchester. Yes.
By name and nature, Coleyville. It's cool like what up
there. Yes. You know, right?
Well, I can tell you, because I went to West Indian Training College.
So you felt it.
Boy, let me tell you, it's cold, you know.
It is.
The great
but
Bryce
you know
Moravian Church up there. Yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. It prepared me for the weather here, though, right?
Poor lady, cooler bite you in Toronto this morning.
Yes.
So,
you know, it's supposed to be +5 today, and I'm excited about that.
Okay,
so you
+5.
can imagine how cold it's been, right?
Never mind.
But
go ahead.
I'm from Manchester. I'm from Coleyville.
Mm-hmm.
I went to primary school, to Bryce Primary School, actually, and as well as Christian and Moravian Primary School. And then I went on to Knox College, the big school. And then I completed high school in Jamaica before moving to Toronto. And I didn't immediately get involved in these associations, the alumni associations. But once I was able to navigate the place and find myself and completed my education, you know, I came right back to where it all began for me.
Yes.
And wanted to find a way to help and support my alma mater.
Yes.
And that's where I started with the Knox Past Students Association. For about maybe 15 years now, I've been involved in this kind of work.
Really?
Supporting, you know, that committee doing some work. And I've been the president now for since about 2018, I think. But prior to that, I've always helped in the background, support, you know, the leadership, etc. And from that, you know, Knox is a part of the Knox Past Students Association here is a member of the Alliance of Jamaican Alumni Association.
And are there many other schools who have alumni associations in your grouping?
Yes, there are many. So the Alliance of Jamaican Alumni Association is the umbrella body for Toronto-based alumni association representing primary, secondary, and post-secondary educational institutions in Jamaica. All of these associations support their alma mater back home, and there are about 40 active associations.
No, look at that, 40 active. You know how important
we've
this
had
is?
a bigger number in the past, but some are not so active at the moment. But we've had up to I think about 60. At some point in time. Now, this association, the Alliance of Jamaican Alumni Association, was established in 1988. So over 30 years ago, 33 years or so. It started with 13 associations, 13.
And now up to 40.
And has been as high as 60.
Well, look at that. And do you meet sometimes? And what is your main activity? Do you relate to your individual schools?
So each association, they are members of the alliance, but they operate independently.
Yes.
And their goal is to support their alma mater in different ways.
Sure.
And they manage that aspect. But our goal is to support those associations in everything that they do.
Yes.
So our mandate is to aid Jamaican students in the Canadian education system and to support our member association in their efforts to assist their alma mater, whatever that may look like for them.
Now, there are lots of Jamaicans who are studying in Canada, particularly in Ontario and in Quebec.
Yeah.
It's one of the largest areas of migration for Jamaican people. You have tens of thousands, some say hundreds of thousands of people of Jamaican Caribbean origin there. Keeping their interest and focusing their attention. Tell us how you do that. Tell us how we ought to be reacting here to your efforts there.
Well, for those students that are here, international students, we support them in several ways. We have a Care and Share program. It's one of the programs that we operate.
Care and Share.
Alliance. It's called Care and Share. There's several programs that we operate, but one being the Care and Share program. We recognize that a lot of the students that are here, they are away from home, and sometimes, they are lonely and they need some support. So at Christmas, what we do, we give them, some of them, the ones that reach out to us or that we reach out to, we put together a gift basket.
You give them a Christmas, as we call it.
Yes,
a Christmas.
We provide them with gift boxes or gift certificates to make their holidays just a little bit brighter.
And just a connection with people like yourself who have been through their schools, who have the similar memories, and who are navigating the Canadian system in ways that they would like to. That must be a tremendous advantage, a tremendous bonus for them.
It is indeed, Reverend Thwaites. And also, we get from time to time students who reach out to us that are here and they're experiencing some difficulties.
Yes,
and we connect them to their, if there is an association here that represents the school that they attended, we would connect them to those member associations for help and support. So we have several examples of that.
Yes.
And we're very proud to say and happy that we're able to help in that regard.
Yes.
May I bounce one off your Ronnie?
Yeah.
You didn't have to come back to Jamaica. I didn't have to.
No.
We all could find a spot in the diaspora and make a contribution.
Yes.
I am excited about those who have turned their eyes and their money and other things to the rest of us in Jamaica.
Yes.
Most of who we're talking to look back to their school that started and are working there.
Sure.
But there is also a wide gap to be filled by those who have got the experience and the education abroad, who is seeing a broader prospect,
Arena.
a broader
Yes.
arena than what is here.
Uh-huh.
And we'd like to see some come back.
Well, indeed. But you know, I'm just filled with gratitude, Rhona Dunwell, because what you are doing with the various alumni groups and all the efforts to keep them together, which is not easy in the big metropole and with all of the concerns and obligations that you have. This is not marginally important to Jamaica. You know, this is absolutely essential.
The contribution,
The
that they are
contribution
making,
and
yes.
the contribution to the students there, and also the linkage that Jamaican schools, your Knox and my George's and Pearnel's West Indies College, all of those, we gain strength by knowing that you exist and that you care.
Absolutely. And I heard you talking, Reverend Thwaites, earlier about combined resolve.
Yes.
And that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we try to do.
Yes.
Together we're stronger, and we're trying to do our part.
Together we're stronger. What a lesson that is for us here. Yes. Good. How do you find, though? Do you find is it all alumni who join most? Can the younger people who are coming into Canada to work and so on, are they open to this? How does a person become a member of the Alliance of Alumni Associations? How do you join in?
Oh, absolutely. Everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome. And in fact, we actively seek out those students. I know for my alma mater, for Knox, we have a very, very strong relationship with the school. Mm-hmm. They actually have an alumni relations office at Knox College now.
Really?
And we are in constant touch with them, making sure that the students, the current students, are aware that these organizations exist, and that if and when they're in Toronto, in the Greater Toronto area, that we're available for them to reach out to. We're always seeking out more recent graduates to join because, you know, we're getting old now. We need to have sustainability. Yeah. We need to ensure that these organizations continue to survive and thrive. And so everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome to join. Yes. The only criteria is that you went to a particular
Jamaican school. Sure.
Yes, and then you can become a member of the association. And I can tell you also that we have individuals serving that are not even members of any particular school. They're people that help and support that were born here.
Really?
They were born in, they were born and raised in Toronto, but they are aware of these associations. Like we have our own children, for example. I encourage my children to support and participate, and they know about these schools and the associations, and you know they help and support in whatever.
Well, that's a proof of sustainability, you know, and you want more of that. I have two questions then before we part. One is how do you get the second generation Canadians, Jamaican Canadians, to be as engaged and as with the affection for their country and its institutions, its schools, as you guys are, first generation? And secondly, do any of you hope one day to come back? Do you want to have linkages with Jamaica that will be closer than perhaps we have had in the past?
Well, I'll answer the first question. Yes. Is that it starts at home. Mm-hmm. It starts at home, and they live what they see and learn. So I think, you know, the people in Toronto, the past students in Toronto, they're so committed. They're so devoted to this work.
That's lovely.
That they live and breathe this. And so if you have children living in your household, they can't help but notice and come on board.
Yes.
And I can tell you that from my
Own
particular
experience.
household.
Yes.
So we have a function, a fundraising event every year for Knox. This was before COVID, of course, when
Yes,
we were able
sure.
to meet in person. And the students, the children
Yes,
of
come
the
along.
members would come along,
Yes.
and they would volunteer at these events because we can't afford to pay
No.
everyone to do everything.
Yeah.
So we have students volunteer, and I know I speak for all member association in saying so,
Yes.
because I've been to their functions as well, and I've seen the younger generations in action. And, they help in other ways. Like for example, they're technically savvy,
Of
and we
course.
can always call on them to help and support us in that regard.
Yes.
As it relates to coming back home, I come home very often. I was there last month, as a matter of fact. Well,
Nice.
it's now March, but I was there in January. I'm home. I come home every year, sometimes more than once. And
Excellent.
so
Yes.
my heart is in Jamaica. I love my homeland. We all love our homeland, and it is a sacrifice. And I heard Chief Charles talk about sacrifice earlier on, and I was listening in, and it is a real sacrifice for us because all of this is volunteer work.
Yes.
How much
and
is
we
it?
all have competing priorities.
I know.
How much is the bad
And
news from Jamaica a deterrent to the first generation Canadian
Jamaican Canadians.
The bad
Luckily,
news, the
Chief,
crime, the killing.
yeah.
How much is that the deterrent to
Yeah,
them want to associate with, come back to, or serve Jamaica?
You know what, Chief Charles, they love their country, and luckily they have us to give them a different perspective,
Yes.
right? Because what you hear and see in the news is just a very minimal reflection of our homeland, as we all know, right?
Some of that is happening right around them where they are. But
Exactly.
they have to be guided by people like yourself, or else it's a deterrent here, much less. Those who have been born out of the system and have to be forced to remember, or have to be inspired to remember that your roots.
But
are important.
I'm very glad to hear that despite all of the things that we need to correct here, there still is that loyalty, there still is that allure, that attraction that people feel. Oh my!
Oh yes,
Listen.
the love, the patriotism, everything. It's solid. It's solid, and like I said,
it is an organization that you put together.
Sure, that helped to reinforce that.
That's going to create an
all
interest in that first and second generation Canadian Jamaican.
Rhona Dunwell, keep doing the good work. We're so happy to know you this way. When you come back to Jamaica, come and tell us more on the bridge. Listen up, and wherever there's need for or occasion for the Jamaican Alumni Association in Toronto, the Alliance, to tell us more about your activity, we're at your disposal. We appreciate your work. We salute the flying of the flag that you and others do in Toronto. Thanks so much for this morning.
I thank you for having me. It was a great pleasure.
What a pleasure. The lady from Knox, from Coleyville in Manchester, Rhona Dunwell, President of the Alliance of Jamaican Alumni Associations and current President of the Knox Past Student Association, Toronto chapter.
Ronnie, are there more Jamaicans abroad than Jamaicans?
Yes, there are.
So it's about 3 million Jamaicans abroad.
There always are going to be. So we have to do two things. First of all, we have to make sure that those who are going because they're not going out of fear or neglect here.
Yes.
Okay, that's one thing.
The last word is a key.
Yes.
They are not neglecting us.
No.
They are not forgetting the ground foundation.
Well, that's
the groundation.
The groundation. Use the word. So that's the second point. We have to make and I hope we're trying to do this on the bridge, we have to make the connections between them and us.
Yes.
Yes? More than just anecdotal, incidental, but rather umbilical, if I can add that. Yes.
That's key shot.
Yes, that's what we have to do, because for a number of reasons. One, they have the spirit. Two, they are so willing, many of them, and many more need to be encouraged to be willing.
And go further, they are willing to fund the foundation that puts them where they are. So you have the Westmoreland guys.
Yes.
And there's a competition between Westmoreland and Manchester.
Manchester is true.
Of those who are there. And they are looking back to their schools. They are sending. Don't forget, they send home a grip. You ever hear about the barrel come?
Yeah.
You know the barrel come?
Sir. Big village event.
Good word.
Yes.
Village event. It's not only a family event,
No.
Everybody, Miss Bertha will live over the wall.
Yeah,
Members will send a thing for her.
Yeah, but hear me now. That it is. I think from a community standpoint, from a media standpoint, from a national standpoint, we have to cultivate that. I know that some African countries, for example, are far more intentional than we have been able to be about cultivating their diaspora. I remember having a long conversation with a government minister from Senegal, and they reserve places in their Senate, the equivalent of their Senate, for 3 places, because their diaspora is just diffuse. They have one from Africa, other countries in Africa. They get together and nominate a person. One from France, and one from the UK, US, because these are the main concentrations. Why don't we think, a surge for constitutional reform? Why don't we think of that?
Well, the first thing we have to do is remove this nonsense
about the US citizenship.
That if you come from Australia,
yes,
South Africa,
you can spend a year and then become prime minister.
You can't vote.
Yes. But if you come back, if you live in Miami and come home every other weekend, yes, because you're an American citizen, in order to fulfill law and social security there, you can't do that.
Well,
you can't run for
so the Jamaican saying, if I go away, only never help me go away. Me go away myself, and me work up a thing. I know me doing well, and I want to come back and help my country. And you have a constitution which says, if I have my Canadian, if I have my American citizenship,
it affects,
I can't participate.
It affects the American Jamaicans particularly.
That should be removed long ago.
And Mr. Charles, I'm going to pinch you. I left the resolution on the table of Parliament, and your government
and that wicked speaker would not accommodate.
Well, I know the speaker was looking at the leader of the House always to see what time was available and so on. But so I'm not pinching you too hard. But the Jamaica.
Yes, and they're not pinching me too hard, but I'm pinching me too.
Yes, but we let's go to the fundamental point. The reason why that wouldn't be taken is because we have this ambivalence about who we are, and we have to recognize part of our new consciousness that we are trying to propose on the early rise and on the bridge. Our new consciousness must say to us that we have to define ourselves as a people of a certain origin, of a certain character. Yes, who may live here or may live there, or as Rhona Dunwell was telling us, she has 1 foot there and 1 foot here. Yes?
No, hold on.
That's the norm,
Many of those who are abroad are taking care of more of us here than some of us who are here.
Yes,
but we are able to do so. In other words, there's some family in America and Canada who are taking care of the rest of their family here. Better than those who are here can take care of themselves.
So therefore, what does that?
And not only family. Remember, there's a district barrel that come,
Yes. So you said
when the group come up, remember Miss Bertha, remember Miss John.
But then why don't we acknowledge this? Why don't we, instead of scorning it or less scaring it, why don't we acknowledge it? And that doesn't mean that you can send the barrel and because you come back with the money for the funeral or something else that you're going as if you rule the roost. You don't. But we could live better if we just accepted each other and accept one of the realities of our Caribbean existence.
And some could do more for us. And go back to the education. And somebody have said it on this fair program, that there are children who have arrived there and were unable to meet certain educational costs. And the organization has saved them.
Sure. Didn't you tell me what your uncle, he received you when you went to New York many years ago?
I told you about the suit.
Yes. No, I learned from you, and that those things they seem simple, but they're not simple. They profoundly affect the progress that we want to make, and the absence of them really set back a whole heap of people. And therefore, we must live as loving brothers and sisters as Jamaica. This is why. This is our culture, This is our background. This is the Christian heritage. Even though plenty of us don't go to church, this is the Christian heritage, the love of brother and sister that must characterize us.
Come back home, Ronnie.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying to the Jamaicans, have more respect for those of us who are living abroad.
But
it is not easy to meet the snow,
look at
the ice, the terror.
Rhona Dunwell glad because it's -5 this morning, which means that it was even cooler. We in Jamaica
must learn to respect that and appreciate that, because a lot of them make major sacrifice to help us here.
To help us. It's true.
And they make the sacrifice because they want us to be better off.
You told me once that of the effect of the farm work tickets that you had responsibility for at one time.
Yes.
And indeed, let me use the theological word, how sacred it was. Because when you give a man a farm work ticket and he go away and do something, you're giving him stability and fortune in his family.
No, you're giving the whole family and part of the district.
Yes.
Some not related.
No.
But they're not sending something for family alone.
No.
Because they remember the man who was living next door.
Yes. Now, if we can do that, if we can culture that spirit and make it easy, so that first of all, he mustn't do any arms house behavior about send gun back in a barrel. Yes.
No.
But he must be able to clear his barrel for a small amount of money. In short run, that we must encourage him to invest in the Jamaican stock market. We must encourage him to set up a business for his relatives or he himself to have a second string to his economy.
We must encourage relatives here not to exploit them.
Indeed.
There are many who have sent things here to work for themselves, to come and find that it has been destroyed.
Yes, it's destroyed. And that's a good message for us to convey on the early rise on the Bridge 99 FM this morning. Thanks so much for your company. Thanks to all those who help us to make this program possible. Thanks to LaFane. Thanks to Richie. Thanks to Romy Audley and the entire production team here at the Bridge 99 FM. Join us again on the early rise on the Bridge 99 FM. See you then.